I don't know where my son is. No one can tell me where my son is. If he's been shot, if he's dead, no one knows.
We stand with the people of Orlando who have endured a terrible attack on their city.
At first, I thought it was the music, but then I saw him. He was maybe 20, 30 feet away from me, and I saw the fire coming out of his gun every time he shot fire. Everybody hit the floor.
You know, we will come together and do everything we can to help everybody that's been impacted, but also bring this community back together again.
Good evening, I'm Ken O'Mara. It's a terrible day not only for the state of Florida, but for the whole nation. A heavily armed assailant opens fire into a packed Orlando nightclub, killing 50 people in the deadliest shooting spree in U.S. history.
Governor Scott has declared a state of emergency for Orange County, calling this an act of terror. President Obama calls this an attack on all of us as Americans.
Tonight, we've confirmed that one of the victims is from the First Coast. We're told he is in stable condition. According to officials, in the midst of the attack, the suspect called 911 and pledged his allegiance to ISIS.
So let's summarize what we know so far. The chaos began just about 2 o'clock this morning at Pulse nightclub in Orlando. That's near Orange and Cayley Avenue. Police respond to shots fired at 2:02. When they get there, officers exchange gunfire with the suspect, identified as Omar Mateen.
It then turned into a hostage situation. Police say Mateen went inside the club and took hostages. The gunman had an assault rifle, a handgun, and what they believe to be some kind of suspicious device on him. Then, about 5 a.m., 3 hours after the initial shooting, a SWAT team went inside the club to rescue the hostages.
Then at 5:55, authorities announced Mateen is dead after SWAT goes into that building. Then a bit later, 12:10, Governor Rick Scott declares a state of emergency for Orange County.
Just after 2 this afternoon, the president spoke on the attack. NBC News reports this is the 15th time President Obama has addressed the nation regarding a mass shooting. President Obama called this an act of terror, an act of hate.
So this is a sobering reminder that attacks on any American, regardless of race, ethnicity, religion, or sexual orientation, is an attack on all of us and on the fundamental values of equality and dignity that define us as a country.
Tonight, we have team coverage. First for you, covering all angles of this mass shooting. But first, we start with Heather Crawford. She's been following this story for us all day and has the latest information live from Orlando.
Ken, we are just 2 blocks from the Pulse nightclub. We are on Orange Avenue, and right behind this police barricade, 2 blocks down, is where this tragedy all began to unfold around 2 o'clock this morning. And still, here we are all these hours later, and the police are very actively continuing to investigate this. We have seen in the past hour FBI going down behind this police barricade, local, state, federal law enforcement. The magnitude of the police presence here is something that I have never witnessed. A tremendous amount of police still here, block after block is roped off. And just a few minutes ago, Senator Bill Nelson joins me, and I want you to take a listen to what he shared with us.
You've got to understand that what terrorists want to do, whether it's a hate crime or whether it's ISIS or whatever it is they want to instill fear in us to get us off our game. We can't let them succeed. What we have to do is to keep on going about our daily lives, beware, say something if you see something, but don't give in to fear.
Don't give in to fear. That is the message from Senator Bill Nelson and many of the other public officials who have been here on the scene today. Really is a feeling of a community still in shock, but one of solidarity. Everybody is coming together, regardless of their faith, to pray for this community, to pray for each other. We've seen random acts of kindness. We've had multiple people come up to the media and first responders just bringing bottles of water, bringing their puppies to try and bring smiles to people's faces here as the work really gets underway behind me inside the Pulse nightclub. Now, Brittany Dion has been speaking with some of the victims' families. We know at least 50 people died, at least 50 people injured in this tragedy. And still, hours later, many are waiting to know if their loved ones are among those who were killed. Brittany Dion joins us live tonight from Orlando. Brittany, I know it must be just absolutely heartbreaking to talk to those families.
About 30 minutes ago, when several people came out of the Hampton Inn and Suites crying, screaming, we're told that families had a meeting with doctors. They were able to look at a list of names to find out where or their loved ones are, if they are okay. Some of those people did learn that their loved ones had died at area hospitals. That is according to a family member that I just spoke with. That family member says that he is looking for his nephew right now. His nephew's name was not on that list. Here's the issue that some family members are having. They are saying that if their loved one has died inside of the club, they are told by officials that they will not be able to find out until tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Now, just think about that. A lot of people around here have been waiting for hours to try to find out what happened to their family members. I've spoken to several of them. One woman we spoke to says that she is searching for her cousin. Her cousin was at the club last night with his boyfriend. The boyfriend was shot in both of his knees. He had to undergo surgery at a hospital that's right up the block from here. We're told that the surgery was successful. He is in a lot of pain at this hour. The woman has yet to find out about her cousin. She says she is doing everything possible to locate him. Take a listen.
I've been called every hospital in Florida, and they can't tell me anything. I just want to see him. I just want to hear that he's okay and that he's alive.
There's no info, there's nothing.
It's just a big family.
Would you expect anything like this?
Never, never, never. I thought, like, if anything, this was one of the safest places that I can go out to.
Now, so many people are praying for these victims across the country, especially back home in Jacksonville, where we go now to Jessica Clark, who's at a memorial for these victims. Jessica.
Brittany, good evening to you. The memorial at Memorial Park, or it's a candlelight vigil here in Riverside, has not started yet, but certainly people have started to gather. Music is playing. This vigil starts at 7 o'clock here at Memorial Park in Riverside. It will last until 8 o'clock. Different members of the community coming together to speak. There will be different members of the clergy here, also various city leaders here as well. A time to remember those 50 people who were killed in Orlando and the 53 who were also injured. But you know, I was earlier at a place in Jacksonville called Hamburger Mary's. It's a restaurant that caters to the LGBT community. The people there who work or who are simply customers say this in Orlando just hits way too close to home. The owner telling me this is, quote, scary. One customer told me that his mother has urged him to stop going to any gay pride events, simply concerned about his safety. He said he's going to go anyway.
I don't want to let somebody else scare me away from doing what I want to do. I feel like I'm braver than that, and if something like that were to happen, there's nothing you can do about it. I mean, but I'm not going to stop doing what I want to do because someone else has a problem with it.
There is going to be another vigil at Hamburger Mary's tomorrow night. It starts at 6 o'clock, open to the public. But back out here at Memorial Park in Riverside, this memorial starts at 7 and just about a half hour or so will go to 8. Again, people here from all over Jacksonville gathering to remember the people in Orlando. We're live in Riverside. Jessica Clark, First Coast News. Let's now send things out to Anthony Austin to find out more about the suspect in the shooting.
Yeah, Jessica, I'm here in Fort Pierce at the Woodlands condos. People in this small community are coming out. They're standing behind the police tape trying to see what exactly is happening right now. This is what we know. We have confirmed that Omar Mateen did live at the condos here. We have law enforcement. We have the FBI. We're told even the bomb squad was here earlier today. We're not getting a lot of information about what exactly is happening at these condos, but as you can imagine, there's probably some sort of search that is happening. Now, about 20 people were evacuated earlier from the back buildings where that search is happening. Now let's talk a little bit about Omar Mateen and what we know about him. Pretty much we know that he did work as a some type of security officer. According to Florida records, he did have a license for firearms. Now earlier I spoke with the imam of a mosque that he attended, a mosque where he often went to pray about 3 to 4 times a day, and this is how the imam described him.
He will come with 4 or 5-year-old son. He will pray and the child will be playing around him, and then when he will finish his prayer, he will just leave. So he will not socialize with anybody. He will be quiet. He will just very peaceful, shake hands, smile with everybody, and then he will leave.
And once again, investigators say the FBI, they were looking into Mateen about 3 years ago because of a statement he had made about radical Islamic propaganda. Now, law enforcement officials say Mateen swore allegiance to the leader of ISIS on a 911 call he made before the shooting happened. We're continuing to gather information out here about Mateen, about the man that he is. We have been who he was, rather. We have been speaking to neighbors in this community. Many of them say they know nothing about him. They never met him. So we're trying to learn more so we can bring that information to you. I'm going to go ahead and send it back over to Heather Crawford in Orlando.
Anthony Austin live in Fort Pierce tonight. Anthony, thank you. And here we are just south of downtown Orlando, 2 blocks away from the Pulse nightclub shooting. It is starting to thunder here. The clouds are rolling in as the community gathers here tonight in shock with so many questions while state, local, and federal law enforcement do their work behind us. A gentleman just walked up to me and said he was at the Pulse nightclub just an hour before this all unfolded. I'm going to be speaking with him in a minute. And coming up in just a few minutes, our crime analyst, Mark Bachman, who has more than 30 years law enforcement experience, is going to be joining us. He's been working his law enforcement sources and has some unique insight into this tragedy, so he will join us in just a few minutes. But that is Orlando. Jeannie and Ken will send it back to you.
Heather, thank you so much. We've just gotten some new information from the city of Orlando. What they have been doing today is releasing very slowly the names of the victims as family members are identified and the bodies are identified properly. As we've been talking about with Mark Bachman, our crime analyst, this was a nighttime club event. Some people may have put their ID somewhere else. Maybe they didn't even have their ID. He expects this to be a very slow process. We had 6 names before. A 7th name has now been given out publicly from the city of Orlando, and that's Luis Vielma. And you know what strikes me? We haven't had their ages of any of them until now, and they're all so young.
They're very young. The first victim is 34. The second one is 23, 20, 22, 36. 22, and Luis, the one you just mentioned, he is 22 years of age.
All way too young to lose their lives in such a horrifying situation. Well, the power of social media is so important in these types of situations.
In fact, the ability to send a text, check on Facebook, or make a phone call in seconds has helped victims connect with their loved ones. Monica Garcia is digging deeper tonight.
In between all the chaos and unanswered questions, it was social media that played a major role in how people stayed informed today. Around 2 a.m. as the mass shooting was taking place,
bam, 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 people screaming and falling.
Pulse nightclub posted a status update on Facebook telling people to run from the club. It says, everyone get out of Pulse and keep running. Patrons replied to that post on Facebook with their own stories and confirmations of violence. Other patrons turned to Twitter. One tweet reads, "Can't explain what happened. I was there with the nurse for her birthday. Guy in vest starts shooting. She was hit in the shoulder, ran out in the back." Another tweet reads, "It's such a small club too, and the outside area in the back is closed off, and you can't leave unless you re-enter the club." In the aftermath of the attack, more pictures and video from the scene emerged, all showing the chaos, police presence as ambulances arrived at the nightclub helping the injured. The Orlando Police Department also took to Twitter to not only keep people informed, but tweeting images like this. This is the Kevlar helmet of the one Orlando police officer injured during the takedown of the shooter. A bullet was removed from that hole you see there. The helmet saved the officer's life. Now, if you're wondering about a family or friend and you want to know if they're safe, it's really easy to check up on them. All you have to do is go to our website, that's firstcoastnews.com, and you want to click on Safety Check. That'll take you to Facebook, and all you have to do is type in your friend's name, and their name will pop up, and as you can tell, they have clicked that they are safe. So for more information about Safety Check, you can go to our website at firstcoastnews.com. You'll find a link there. From the newsroom, Monica Garcia, First Coast News.
Monica, thanks so much. So here's what we do know at this point. This is the largest mass shooting in American history. The latest death toll officially from police in Orlando, 50 people killed, 53 people wounded. But as we've been saying, doctors are telling us through the hospitals that many, in fact, one person said most of the victims are critically hurt, and unfortunately that death toll will likely rise. The CityofOrlando.net has a live blog listing the names of the victims. Police have identified the suspect now as Omar Mateen. Officials say that Mateen pledged his allegiance to ISIS just moments before this mass shooting. He was shot and killed by SWAT after holding people hostage inside Pulse nightclub.
Governor Rick Scott has since declared a state of emergency for Orange County. The president is calling this an act of terror. We are, of course, following this developing story both online and on air. And remember, First Coast News has the best news sources on the First Coast, with both coverage from both ABC and NBC National News.
So we just talked about a lot of information, and what stands out to me, I thought was just so painful, is what Brittany Dion was talking about at the Hampton Inn. The families are being told that if your loved one was inside the nightclub, you can't find out until 10 o'clock tomorrow morning officially if that loved one has been killed or not. And what a horribly painful night.
Clearly it adds to their anxiety that you have to wait all night to find out the condition status or if your loved one is among the deceased.
Might have a little bit of hope, but still maybe you're in denial. And oh my gosh, prayers, and so many prayers going out to them. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Welcome back to very wet, rainy Orlando, Florida, where 2 blocks behind me is the Pulse nightclub, where the nation's deadliest mass shooting took place around 2 o'clock this morning. And I want to bring in our crime analyst, Mark Bachman, who has 30 years of law enforcement experience. And Mark, we know this shooting started to unfold around 2 a.m., but it wasn't until about 5 o'clock that police ultimately made their way into the nightclub. Why so long? That is a question a lot of people are asking us.
Well, they have to make an initial assessment of what's going on. They knew other people were inside there. They knew they had other people running out, giving them information. They had people in there texting, calling loved ones, even calling the police on 911 calls. So they're making this assessment. Aside from the fact that he was heavily armed, they knew that he had already killed some people, shot and injured some people, that he had this so-called device as well. Some type of incendiary device that could have detonated inside there, could have been some type of grenade. Who knows what it was? They have yet to release it. I think they've already disposed of it, but they have to make that decision of what they're going to do and when they're going to make entry. If they were to do a quick entry and not determine if in fact he was going to use that device, maybe he was, maybe he wasn't, maybe he was calling their bluff. At the same time, they're trying to negotiate with them and find out what to do.
And
maybe he'll surrender.
Families have been told that if their loved ones were killed inside that nightclub, they might not get positive identification until 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. I mean, your heart just breaks for those families. Why so long?
It's more than just finding somebody's driver's license. You really need to make sure who you're identifying as being deceased. So you're trying to probably check their fingerprints using some type of portable AFIS device. Getting loved ones, contacting them, maybe they're making inquiries, so you're verifying it from a reverse way as well. It's much more than just a driver's license. Some people didn't even maybe have identification on them in there. It's more than that. It really takes a little bit longer.
A heartbreaking scene here near downtown Orlando. We're going to be here throughout the night. You can hear the thunder rumbling behind us. A lot of investigators right now inside the Pulse nightclub, and we're going to have updates throughout the night. That's the latest from Orlando. Jeannie and Ken, we'll send it back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Heather. Thank you very much. It's almost like the skies are opening up in grief down in Orlando.
Yeah, it's starting to pour down there. They've got some storms headed their way. We're tracking a few storms here in our area, mainly in Bradford and Union counties, but the story tomorrow especially will be the heat. Heat, hydrate, educate, act, take it easy, drink plenty of water throughout the day, even if you're not thirsty. Know the signs of heat illness, seek medical attention immediately, and avoid overexertion because it will be hot tomorrow. Temperatures right around 96 degrees with heat index values right around 105. So if you are outside, please be very careful of that. Zooming in, showing you where the showers and storms are in our area. A few storms in Baker County, Bradford and Union counties, now into Clay and portions of Putnam County. But for the rest of the night tonight, we'll just see those off and on showers. Temperatures early tomorrow morning in the mid to upper 70s. that should be an indication for you of how hot it's going to be. Again, 96 tomorrow, 95 on Tuesday. We'll watch for showers and storms the rest of the week.
Again, we're following a very sad and tragic story tonight. The largest mass shooting in Americans' history took place right here in Florida early this morning. This after a gunman opened fire in a crowded nightclub. The latest death toll is 50 and 53 people wounded. CityofOrlando.net has a live blog listing the names of the victims. The police have identified the suspect as Omar Mateen. Officials say that Mateen pledges allegiance to ISIS moments before the mass shooting. He was shot and killed by SWAT after holding people hostage inside of Pulse nightclub.
We know Governor Scott has declared a state of emergency for Orange County, and the president is calling this, as we've been mentioning, an act of terror. Meanwhile, we're developing the story both on air and online as we're getting information in, trying our best to be accurate about it, but also portray the fact that some details are coming out about the victims. Edward, for example, Sotomayor, one of the very first to get some information. His cousin says that he loved life, and these names are now becoming people.
Yeah.
Love to wear top hats. And the pain, what these families are going through, is just beginning.
And they're still looking for an answer now. They're being told they won't have any information until 10 a.m. tomorrow. Of course, we'll have a full report throughout the night and tonight at 11.